G'day girls. Alright, so this video is designed to try and help you with your SHE task. So what we're going to do is we're going to sort of introduce what SHE is, have a talk about what a SHE report actually is all about, and then sort of look at how to approach it, as well as looking at this task specifically. So what is science as a human endeavour, or what is SHE? SHE is basically how science and society link. That's pretty much it. It's looking at how science fits into what we do as a society. So why do we actually need to look at SHE as part of the course? Well, SHE is really what science is truly about. It's the nuts and bolts of what we do as science. It looks at exploring problems and things we could do better in our society. And when we talk about doing things better, it could be along the lines of making things more efficient. So you could be talking about things like energy efficiency. Could be looking at like helping people. So for example, with that, you'd be looking at medicine, medical sciences, but you could also look at things like making new materials that will make things better for us. It's also could be, we've got a company who's doing a particular scientific technique. How can we make that more profitable? Like it's all about identifying a problem, looking at how science can have an impact on it, and then looking what that impact is. And let's be honest, if we look at science in terms of impact, science can have both a positive or a negative impact. So, for instance, if you look back, and I'm going to steal one of Miss Goff's examples here, if you look back at the Industrial Revolution, we've had all this technology developed which, produced electricity and made machinery and all this sort of stuff that made our life easier. But on the flip side of that, a lot of that was based around fossil fuels, which we now know has had a negative impact. So, each thing we do can have a positive impact on society, but it can also impact us in a negative way. That's what SHE's all about. It's like what works well, what maybe doesn't work as well. So what is a SHE report? It's a 1,000-word report, okay, sort of in the essay style. So you've got an intro, a main body, and a conclusion, but you're looking at your SHE components with it. So what your report will look at is a problem linking science and society that you choose. Okay, so we'll give you an area to focus on, but then you choose what you look at within that. So then you investigate a chosen question which you'll come up with, and from there you'll look at the science and produce a report. So what is the task we're going to be doing? All right, let's have a look at the task sheet. All right, so our task is looking at metal extraction and clean energy. So if we look at the context, science is increasingly aware of the environmental and economic limitations of deriving our energy from fossil fuels. Okay, so think of what fossil fuels are: coal, gas, oil. The transition to alternate energy sources comes with its own challenges, one of which is meeting and increasing demand for a range of metals used in these new technologies. So you might know of like lithium-ion batteries. You've heard about them probably in your mobiles and stuff like that. They run basically on metals that we have to mine. So for example, electric vehicle batteries use lithium, nickel, magnesium, cobalt. Solar panels use copper, silver, silicon and zinc. Wind turbines use iron, copper and aluminium. And these are all alternative energy sources that require metal. They're not the only ones. There's heaps more. Okay, but to make these changes sustainable, more ore deposits need to be found and more efficient technologies need to be developed for extracting metals. Okay, so that's the underlying thing of what we're looking at. We're looking at how a clean energy options impacted by metals, and how can science have an impact in improving how they link. So from here, it's really a matter of, where do we start? So what you need to do first up is you need to come up with what's called a focus area. And we'll talk about this in a second a little bit more. So your focus area is pretty much looking at choosing a metal or metals and a particular technology that they're involved in. Okay, and then what you want to do is you want to turn that into a question. So really what you want to do is you want to look at a piece of clean energy technology that you're interested in, and then you want to find out about what metals are involved in it. Now, you might go in and find out that there's 15, 20 metals involved in it. You don't necessarily want to do all 20. Like if you think about it, you've got 1,000 words. Okay, your best bet would be pick 1 or 2 of those and sort of narrow everything down and focus on those. So please don't look at a piece of technology and then go, oh, there's 20 metals, I'm going to look at every single thing. Okay, look at ones that might be rarer, that might have more problems involved in their mining, that might have more problems involved in their refining. Which ones are less efficient in terms of it, which ones are harder to find, those sorts of things. Once you've picked your metal and your technology, you want to turn it into a question using one of these SHE aspects. So you're going to pick your metal, you're going to pick your technology, and then you're going to combine it with one of these words, so application and limitation, influence, development, communication and collaboration. So for example, you might be looking at alternative metals to ones that could already be in it. So for instance, if you look back at a couple of the ones that we had before, let me just flick over, we've got things in here like cobalt. Well, is there an alternative to cobalt? Is there an alternative to lithium? Is there an alternative to silicon in solar panels? Those sorts of things. And then you tie it in with the SHE componentry to make a question. So you might say something along the lines of how could the development of alternatives to silicon influence production via solar panels? Who knows? Actually, that wouldn't be a bad one. You need to come up with a question, okay? And we've got specific dates that we want you to have these questions and focus area done by. Once you've got that, you're going to start your report. All right, so now you've started your report and you're just going nuts. Don't take the Saints Girls approach that we've commonly seen in the past. And that common method is you write 2,000 words, you get to it, you go, oh no, I've written too much, I need help cutting it down. All right, that's always the hardest way to do this. What you want to be doing, firstly, making sure that you're going narrow with your area. So again, like I said, pick 1 or 2 metals to do with your clean energy and focus in on that. Okay, you don't want to be doing 6 metals or anything silly like that. And then get some big headings. So what are the key areas you're going to be looking at for your report? And start doing dot points underneath it. All right, so once you've got your dot points, then you start to expand your dot points and you start building up to the 1,000 words. Okay, the last thing you want to do is get to 2,000 words and go, oh no, and then try and cut down. It's a lot easier to get to 800 words and then go, okay, I need to add more content. What else can I talk about? All right, so that's the approach we want to take. So that's what we're going to be looking at with our SHE Task Girls. If you have any questions as we go through, of course, we're here to answer them. And we will be drafting this one. Okay, so we'll talk more about the draft and the due date for that in class. All right, thanks guys.